life's a gamble. If you wanna win, you've got to play the game. Things don't always go the way you plan. Sometimes you lose, but I bet there's time you're gonna win. Don't go giving your love, don't go giving your love away. It's what they say. Don't go giving your love, don't go giving your love away so easily. Don't go giving your love, don't go giving your love away. It's what they say. Don't go giving your love, don't go giving your love away so easily. Don't go giving your love, don't go giving your love away. It's what they say. Don't go giving your love, don't go giving your love away so easily. Oh no.
And hello, fans of the old guitars. I'm sorry I sound a little bit weird and I got a cough drop in my mouth because just getting over the flu. So, this guitar is not old. It's brand spanking new. It's not even aged or relict, but it is spec'd like a 51 Tele. Now, I don't care about this stuff. I don't know what a 51 Tele is supposed to be spec'd like. I don't know the specs. I don't know what made them that, and I'm not a guy who buys a guitar and then says, oh my god, but they have a screw here where there isn't supposed to be a screw. Sacrilege. It's not really a, 51 spec. If you do this, then you're into guitars, you're not into fucking using them. It's about making the music. This guitar is supposed to feel and perform like a 51 Tele. So it is part of the, I think it's called the Vintage II series, something like this from Fender. If, and this is who it's for, the American Pro 2, a modern, great line that just comes out of the plastic case, beautifully built, great quality, delivers the tones, or the Ultra with the thinner neck, locking tuners, and modern features. If those are Fenders that are not to your liking because you want it to be the way that it used to be back in the day, then you're probably looking at the Vintage series. And there's the, the 50s, and then there's 60s and some 70s. So whatever spec you like from those years, that's what you're getting. You're not getting a guitar that you take out of the case and it feels old. That's not the idea. These are not aged. These are spec'd like back in the day. So what you're getting is, if you had bought a Tele in 51 and take it brand spanking new out of the case, that's what you'd be getting. The question is, now with everything that we've achieved in guitar building, which led us inevitably to the American Pro 2 or the Ibanez AZ or the Sur something, why in the world would you want a guitar that doesn't use any of those modern building methods or actually any of those modern specs? I'm thinking it's still probably modern building methods. It's probably CNC'd, stuff like this. Well, because you're probably a super traditionalist who says all these, old albums in the 50s and 60s were recorded with a guitar like this, and that is what I want. I don't want any of the new stuff, which means I have no right in this video to bitch about the absence of locking tuners, because it is deliberately made to be like one of those old guitars. And I do not have a spec sheet from Fender. This video is being made today, comes out, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. I did not get a lot of specs other than its vintage specs. I know that it's nitro lacquer, because that is very clearly something they did back in the day, nitrocellulose. I know that this one, the 51, there's, in the 60s, the necks were different, in the 70s, the necks were different, but the 51 is a good chunk of half a baseball bat. This is a thick ass neck. Let's see if in any way we can capture this here in this camera. This is not the American Ultra. This is a lot of neck right there. Of course, with the skunk stripe, looks like walnut. Obviously, vintagey style tuners by, says Fender, Clusen style, whatever. Wood, I can't tell you. This could be ash. I don't know. You decide. And this is what a freaking Tele needs to look like. Pissy. You need to open the case and like, who pissed on this thing? This is the butterscotch Tele. Butterscotch, not pissy. I'm sorry. But this is the way it's supposed to be like. This super maple yellowed neck and fretboard, which is, I think, one piece, as it should be. Black dots, as simple as a guitar comes, in this slightly milky, butterscotchy, pissy kind of a look. As traditional as it comes, with the bridge there, where the saddles are shared, and there's actually good reason for this, according to Trevor Wilkinson. He explained the physics of this to me. This is why a Tele sounds different than a Strat. Also, the string through with the ferrules right there. There's obviously no shaping here whatsoever. There's no shaping here. There's no shaping here because it is a freaking Tele. Pickups, I can tell you, vintagey. Vintage spec. We have volume, we have tone, we have a three-way. It's a freaking Tele. We have a one-ply black pickguard. None of that several-ply, three-ply thing, because it is super original. Apparently, back in the day, the number of screws in the pickguard mattered. And later there were more screws. Later on there's one here. So they did go, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws only in the pickguard. If this matters to you, please take some lessons. Learn how to play guitar. Because you're more into guitar collecting than using them. Which is fine, but it really just bugs me at some point that these are freaking tools to be used. Why don't we use them? Why do we get all uppity about how many fucking screws are in a pickguard? I know it's supposed to be authentic. Look, if you want a 51 Tele, that's actually a 51 Tele, buy a 51 Tele. Drop the, I don't know, however many thousands that is. If you don't have that, starting at 2100, you can get, I don't want to say replica, a 51 spec Tele. So, let's go into a couple more things that it comes with. When I saw the case, I loved it. Because it is a smaller case, thinner, and really nice and conveniently shaped, let's put it that way. Looks super nice inside, so it's not one of those modern Fender cases. Comes with some nice case candy, all the stuff that you expect from Fender, from stickers to manual to authenticity thing. Even the cover for the bridge, which I don't get, because then I can't really mute the strings the way I want to. But if you're into this, you can get that. So this is authentic. But what I don't like about it is that it's dangerous for the guitar. And I know this is how cases were, but being that dead set on doing it exactly the way that it used to be, I'll show you what the problem is with a case like this. So I put the guitar in here, fits nicely, okay, not a problem. Can't go anywhere here, but the problem is there's nothing holding the guitar back here. Which means when the case hits on this side, if it should fall this way, it's very dangerous for your neck, because your headstock is the only thing actually holding the guitar back. So instead of something pushing on these two bits here, on the horns, which wouldn't hurt the guitar in any way, the guitar can do this. It can freely move about. And with the weight that the guitar is, which we're going to get into, it will massively, if it gets dropped on this side of the case, this will hit in here. I've had plastic cases that were actually bent out from the inside because of no barrier here. And we don't need a thin kind of a cardboard carrier like the cheapo Thomann cases, which destroy guitars. No, we need a real barrier here that holds the guitar back. Otherwise, it's the headstock. And I've had guitars arrive at guys that I know that were bulged out from the inside, where the neck was irreparably bent because there was too much stress on the headstock. So yes, I love the size and all of this. G&G, the original vintage case. But it's too original to me. I mean, guitar protection is an issue, and no barrier here is too original and not enough protection for your 2,100 euro guitar. So please, Fender, go a little bit less original and a little bit more protective. Talking about the weight of the guitar, this thing is a doozy. I got a scale here. It's not light. 3.6 kilo, which I think for Italy is quite a bit. So, again, can't tell you about ohms and electronicies and whatever. I'm sure this is all up to the vintage spec. Fact is, when the guitar arrived, I was fighting with it a little bit. It was set up in typical Fender style, a little bit not so good. We all know that's what they do. I had to adjust the neck a little bit, which vintage style is a bitch, because the truss rod access isn't here. It's most certainly not a spoke wheel, which is very modern and what you would do now. It's literally here. Right there. And it means, without a cutout in the pickguard, it actually means, I mean, yeah, if you cut out the pickguard a little bit, you could use a screwdriver, but chances are you'd have to loosen the neck a little bit for it to come up, adjust it, put it back. It's not great, but that is how they were. That's how all my McMull guitars are, which are, you know, $7,000 or something. So that's just the way it is if you're building vintage style. So absolutely authentic. So I adjusted a little bit, playability got better. Fought with the neck a tiny bit, even though I do not mind large necks. But once I got used to it, I was rewarded with thick-ass sounds. And that's what it has. It has a much more mature and chunky tone than the more modern spec'd Fs. Okay? So we will go into the tone right now. We're going into the Tone King, Sky King, without really, that's that combo there, without really anything. That's it. That's what you would do with a guitar like this. This is obviously not a shred machine. You could, some can, but I wouldn't. This is a guitar that just lives in clean and low gain territory. You know why? Because that's what they had back in the day. That's where I would use it. That's why you would buy that. why can't I do it on camera? Beautiful spank there. You always feel that wiriness and that chunk of the string right there. Let's give it some overdrive. Well, there isn't a lot more to it than that. That's what it does. So let's pump it into a couple different amps. Different clean amp is the Artesound Vibrosound II. It's that beautiful wooden thing out there. I love how the frequency changes on the bridge, but it doesn't drop out the low end ridiculously, and most certainly the levels are super nicely balanced. Well done. Moving on to a JTM style amp, which is the Morgan MVP66. Let's go a little bit more high gain into the Synergy with the Fryette module. Syn 50 Fryette. It's a Deliverance. Beautiful. Moving on into the Mini Plexi. You know, those amps that you had to crank back in the day. Something Voxish, the AC20 from Morgan. And then last but not least, Marshall and so on songs. So here's the point. It delivers the sounds. I think the tones are there. They are thick. They're exactly what you expect from a thick-necked vintage Tele. If that's what you're looking for. And the vintage drawbacks, the case. Truss rod access here. Missing screw there. I mean, come on, it's a Tele. When you buy a Tele, do you really look for any of this? No. You go through a store and you're playing a shit ton of Teles. You're not looking for, does it have locking tuners? Not even me, who loves locking tuners. These are like the, put them in the slitty on top kind of ones, which means you still don't have any ouchy strings and they're kind of locking in a way. You're not looking for any of this. You're not looking for how many screws it has. You're not looking for specs. You're looking for playability, so the neck has to be to your liking. And you're looking for the Tele sound that you imagine. This has the sound. Let's talk about options. In a vintagey style, McMull at the cheapest about twice as much as this. So not really an option. So in the super mega boutique world, you have options, but not really fair. Fender Custom Shop, for example, not really fair because this is just about above 2,000. Maybach makes some Tallies that are about that, maybe a little bit cheaper, but they are usually a little bit aged, and you can get them with thicker necks, thinner necks. So that could be an option, but it's not a Fender. Gotta say this, this is a more recognizable name. I think there's a Dutch guy called Haas Guitars, whatever. Many people make Tallies. And I know I'm legally not supposed to say Tele because it's a Fender thing, but whatever. But this does nail that tone. Again, it's not a shreddy guitar. You have to like thick necks, but that's why you're buying a 51. I have to mention this because it's, my personal obligation for me. You also have to know you're buying from a corporation. You're not buying from the small guy. And I'll leave it up to you to research what Fender did at the Corona factory. They did let go of 300 employees. Now, you have to decide what that means for you. If that's a company you want to support and that you want to buy from, find out why. Look on the web. There's many videos about that. I'm not going to sway you. Just saying who we buy from matters and what their ethics are. Why they did that, I don't know. Was it just the bottom line? Was there a better reason? I don't know. But you have to know who you're buying from. If it's purely about the instrument, and you're going to put this in a mono gig bag, which I can highly recommend because nothing will ever happen to this guitar, ever. Watch Colin Scott's video on the mono gig bag. This thing delivers the good old rock and roll tune skis. Probably great for country, if you can play country. I can't. Tonally, there. Feel-wise, there. Not aged, which is fine. Oh, it's something I have to mention because of the nitro. The neck is kind of sticky. Okay? That is just something that does happen, especially with newly built guitars with nitrocellulose lacquer on them. You kind of feel like you want to... Now it's a little bit dirty. You want to wipe that off and maybe do something to get it to be a little bit faster. Maybe bring it to a luthier and even take some of that lacquer off because it is kind of sticky nitro. If you know what that feels like and you've played guitars like this, then, well, you know what that feels like. However, at that price point, there are options. None that will compete with it in a way where I'd say buy the options. Check out the options. Go to a shop, play a bunch of them. The good thing is these will be available widely compared to some other brands which you would have to hunt down, or there might be a wait time. With this, there isn't. This is a vintage spec Fender that I think absolutely delivers the tones. I've given you all my ups and downs and pros and cons. I have to say, even though I'm struggling with it a tiny bit, I'm also enjoying what it's making me play. It's making me think back to what would have been played back in the day, and I'm not treating it like a modern instrument. I'm treating it like a vintage spec guitar. And what would that guitar have played? And I try to play the music with it that would have been played with it back in the day when music would have been played with it. If you know what I mean. I'll put links below that are relevant, so use them please to Sweetwater and Thomann. That helps me. And thank you, Fender. By the way, they paid for this video, and they let me say whatever I want to say, which is good. And animals at the end.
It's getting ridiculous. Afraid of the obvious. We ignore that it's better to leave now than not at all. And silence is killing us. I guess we just talked too much before, and it's better to leave now than not at all. Do you believe it's easy? Who said it would be? The truth never is, but you gotta release me. No need to talk, cause silence is bliss. Let's not go back to where we started.